Thank you for joining. Thank you very much. I'm Irene, your host. And without getting any further, please follow Saugatalks, okay? If you're on LinkedIn, on X, on YouTube, and we want to hear your comments. We want to know if topics we discussing resonating with you, if you are into AI, automation, digital transformation as much as me and my guests. And today is my special privilege because Michael Greenberg is with me. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing excellent today, Irene. How about yourself?
I'm doing fabulous because guess what? We said we're going to talk about digital operations, and this is like dry terms,
Oh,
okay? I
the
know
most
you're an
boring.
expert. Boring terms, okay? Let's not make this episode boring, okay? That's my goal here. And with that, all right, we said we're going to talk about practical combo of tech stack, okay? And by tech stack, I hope we're going to touch all the moving parts because I know you're speaking with businesses, large and small, all right? And I
Yep.
know it's part of large enterprises, people making these decisions as we speak, all right? Because everyone wants nice and easy operations, right? Nobody wants cumbersome, painful, effort taking, budget sucking apps, all right?
Yep.
So, Michael, how do you see us going into 2024, progressing with what we know, but adding your wisdom, adding to your experiences, what digital apps is to you?
To me, digital operations, at least the way I found it, was a gap. I had a background in technology and marketing operations, and I saw that there was like, oh, there's the tech guys, there's the IT guys, and then there's the business operations and the strategy. And there was this missing link that said, oh, well, this is the business, this is the technology, let's put them together. And so to me, digital operations, in short, is workflow, process, documentation, automation, AI. When it comes to people using technology to do their work, digital operations is all of the infrastructure and tools that allow them to do that better, faster, and do more.
All right. In your experience, all right, digital transformation is those terms that now are cliche. Okay. It's not interesting to just listen to another session on it. I'm
Yep,
just sharing my opinion, right? To me, it's about really moving businesses, moving companies, people, technology processes forward. Okay. Whatever
absolutely.
it means, right? So please talk to us about how do you find this landscape now this year, all right? Because many companies digitalized long time ago. Large enterprises still very much, what is reluctant to do a lot of operations digitally because of their legacy systems, because of their budget constraint,
Yep.
talent, you name it, right? So
Yep.
what do you think is in the future for companies that are, of course, making those decisions as we speak?
So I want to talk, I want to get out of the heady sphere of theory and talk a few practical examples. Number one is a client, just met with them today, and they cannot automate their core financial operations because everything runs through a shared Excel spreadsheet in a shared drive. And that means there's no API, we can't automate, we can't plug into it. A similar case is another client of ours. They have about 60 locations, and they recently moved to software where all of those location managers now run on tablets. That software is not plugged into anything, but it has an API. And so to us, both of those are like level 0 cases in digital operations. They have the tools, they have data, it might even be in the right structure, but it's all locked up, it's all siloed in. In the first case, we'd have to build around that until we're ready to do the big, nasty digital transformation that we said, no, we're not going to do right now. We can't touch that process. But we can take all the other data in their cloud platforms, we can push it into Google Sheets, and we can make it copy pastable into Excel. And that's going to cut 90% of the time out.
Mhm.
Direct integration. We just take their apps, we can plug them right in. They're using ClickUp as their work management system. And so we're able to pull the data directly out of their on-site management system and redisplay it inside of dashboards in ClickUp so their management team has centralized vision.
Companies running on Excel, pretty happy with their Excel apps. How about that term? Okay. But they really want to automate, they want to offload, of course, the tedious work. And yet, what kind of resistance you are meeting? Because people I saw who's so proficient with their Excels, they love Excel. Okay. They're not gonna let anyone to take that Excel away from them. So tell me, what's a good entry conversation when you kind of showing the way people can do better without Excel?
We get them on Excel 365. Once we get them in the cloud, we can start automating, and we don't really have to move them out of the tool. The only problem is when they're not in the cloud version, then suddenly the way we manipulate the data there, it's doable, but it's not worth doing. And we talk about that as like a level 1 case when all of the data is now accessible at a cloud infrastructure level, because then we can do data automation. Then we can do robotic process automation, and we can actually do automation. But
Good.
we can't do AI yet. We can't we're not trying to change the way people work. We're just trying to make it easier for data to move from A to B with a minimum amount of change to the end user.
And that's smart strategy, in terms of deploying the tool, any tools, right? Any technology, in terms of adoption, you absolutely have to first observe how people do their day job. In other case, I'm sure you've seen it, I've seen it, when you disrupt people's life in a bad way, okay, it's not innovation, it's disruption, it's trouble, okay? What you want to deliver, I suppose, but what you want to do, you want to improve productivity, you want people to switch to, I guess, more rewarding tasks.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
But you need them to be following their business processes that are established, matured, and they are the experts. So what are the hidden barriers there? Mm-hmm.
Experts, no matter how great somebody is at their job, they may be terrible at communicating how they do it. We've got a client right now, and they came in, they said, this is the process we have most clear. So this is the process we want to automate first. We get into it, not quite as clear as they had initially thought. And then, this piece of software that we're automating around, well, we're actually going to replace that in 6 months. So we don't want to do too much that might be specific to that. Let's make sure that we build it with that in mind. And then it's, well, this thing that we do in this tool right now, we kind of want to move to this tool. Can you help us with that? Can your process do that? Yeah, of course. And then, but no, we don't like that after we see it. So we want to move it back to this tool. And so what ends up happening is, because they don't have just a rock solid vision of, okay, I want somebody to be able to click boom, 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 and be done. They end up going back and forth, and they end up in almost a sunk cost fallacy with the automation, where the best version would have been, hey, what's one step we can do today? Where it's just A to B, and let's get that deployed. And if that works, then let's talk about going B to C.
What's your kind of mindset switching aha moment that hopefully, right, will help people, will help vendors in really, move innovation forward?
Narrow it down. It's just that simple. You can only go A to B. I like to map the whole workflow before I start automating, but the automations you deploy should be super small, because as soon as you're doing a multi-step, or you've got like a human has to hit a box before it goes and does this next thing, you should stop when that human has to do something. And you just do one little section and deploy, and then deploy, and then deploy, and then deploy. And in a month or two, you'll have something amazing.
Fantastic. So we talked about people nature a little bit, right? Because we are creatures of habits, right? We like the way we do things. And to even unpeel that business process, that probably the most difficult step. Even understand what's a business process, what's a band-aid, what's a workaround, and what's kind of let me survive until work day is over today kind of right set of tasks which are not part of any process. It only sits in my head. So yeah, that's only expected. Now, technology point to it. We announced about the tech stack combo. All right. So what's the minimal you would say, right? In these scenarios, what do you advise to your clients that what kind of right at least technologies they have to have in mind before even embarking on a journey like this?
Yeah. So I think the biggest one is going to be your communication tool. And we have clients who use Google Suite and use GChat. We have clients who use Slack. We have clients who send all their email through Outlook and they don't use Teams or anything else. They're just all email, as many enterprises are. That's number one. Number two, you've got work management software. So that's an Asana. ClickUp is my personal favorite. Notion, anything like that. Number three is going to be your CRM. And HubSpot is my preferred choice because of their strategic relationship with ClickUp. Those two just work amazingly well together, but we have clients on Salesforce and Pipedrive. And a lot of clients now are building their own no-code CRMs on top of Airtable or ClickUp or other tools like that. And then you've got some sort of automation platform, the glue between everything. Make is my favorite. Zapier is the most common. And you've got others like N8N and Pipedream and a million others that are just as useful. So to circle back, communication tool, work management tool, CRM, relationship management tool, and automation tool. And those together allow you to, you can build a business in well into the mid millions just on that.
Let me ask you about the deployment of these tools again. Anyone out there who tried to introduce one of these platforms, they're easy to click, right? And easy to start with. So what kind of mindset you have to have, again, right at the beginning? Otherwise, you will be lost in the tools deployment. People are unhappy, bosses are nervous. So what's a good kind of entry point and maybe even strategy advice you can give?
Yeah. So I guess most companies are not starting from zero. Let's start there. So you have one or more of these tools already in place. And then the question becomes, why would we add another tool? And the answer is probably you have a data management issue and it's becoming a real problem. So maybe your projects don't have accurate budgeting. Maybe you don't have good task management and people drop balls. Maybe client support tickets are getting missed. Whatever it is, that's normally some sort of data capture and management issue related to not having the right tool in place for the right kind of work. So first figure that out. Then you're able to describe the pain to the people in the organization. And we don't bring in a CRM because the sales team wants automation. No sales team has ever wanted automation. No company ever wants automation. Only CEOs want automation. What people want is, I want to know what I'm doing, and I want my boss to be able to tell me good job. Or in the case of sales, why would we use a CRM? We don't want to share our client network with the company. Well, you use a CRM because when you are going to close a deal, you want to know every single email that you've sent back and forth with that client for the past 6 months, negotiating all the contract terms. And you want your account mapping in one place because you don't want to get the COO's name wrong when he's about to go sign the contract. You use a CRM because your boss is going to sit down and have a meeting with you and say, hey, you didn't close anything this quarter. And you need to be able to say, well, I've got 2 million in pipeline that's just cooking. And you'll see in the notes right there, we just had to knock it back another 30 days. So it's going to close just next month. That's why you want a CRM in place. The automation, the extra efficiency of workload, the ability to do 10 times the number of actions, those are all just benefits after the fact. But people want to know that their work is going to be easier and that they're going to be recognized more for the work that they do as a result of this sort of new tool in place. They don't want to feel like they're getting replaced. They don't want to feel like they're going to have less work to do. That's scary to most employees. They just want to know that they're going to be a hero as a result.
Follow Michael on LinkedIn, on Twitter, right? And yeah, that's where these insights, this wisdom and experience coming from. So Michael, you mentioned that working with people, okay, not against people. Okay,
Yep.
you hired your team not because you want to replace them. You hired because they're talented, unique, absolutely capable individual. So every boss who is introducing new tool, and we're not going to use like big transformation words because initiatives, projects, that's later, okay? But
Yeah.
for now, what you're describing, and thank you for like stepping into the shoes, people who will be affected by the change, right? You're describing of the benefit of those who will have first-hand experience, and they got to be excited. They got to have their, buy-in first. Otherwise, you know how that goes, when the employees just really sabotaging, loud or silent, okay, sabotaging the tool. You've seen situations like this. So how to avoid these pitfalls when you maybe not starting, with the right foot with people?
So first off, you got to understand you can't win them all. So let's start there. Sometimes you enter in and something happens that's out of your control, and the person who was leading your project before just wants to crash it because they don't want anything to do with it anymore. That happens, and you can't do anything about it. I'm going to be honest there. But a lot of times it's just because people are scared. Either they're scared that this is going to replace them or take their job, or they are scared that it's going to take up all their time, or they're scared that it's going to reveal something that you don't even know about. Like, oh, we're still using this old piece of software that we were supposed to have gotten off of 6 years ago. Or one of my favorites, we're still using carbon copies, physical multi-sheet in order to label things. People are often embarrassed when they're using technology that's 20 or 30 years out of date. And so you've got to kind of find out why they have that hesitation. Once you know, you can paint the picture that makes that not an issue. So it's not, oh, you're going to be replaced and now you're just going to sit back and let the robot do your work. It's, oh, and now instead of copy pasting all day, every day, you're going to be reviewing and approving the documents that your robot workers bring to you. And that shift is so important because it makes them an active participant in the work still. Even if in reality, you know that after another 2 years, those robot workers are going to be fully trained and you're not going to need the person in the role. You don't tell them that.
You would need the person to make a decision. How about that, right? Based on the input that now
Hopefully.
you have so many data points, like new insights, And if robot is making your decisions, then something is not right in your business, because, right, how can you, again, right,
Well,
ensure that all your cultural, ethical, and human, and even business considerations are in place? So you would, I would
yeah,
send that message out there.
I think the way I look at it is like there's a lot of things where there's a little bit of fuzzy logic. Like, oh, look at this photo. Does this thing look attached properly? That's a job that somebody has in a lot of companies. And that is often a job that an AI can replace 80% of cases on, where it's either very obviously not attached or attached. And the same goes for customer support requests, as an example. Uh, most companies, for their tier one support, that can be largely automated.
I cannot believe we're saying the AI word, elephant in the room, or 22nd minute into this
Automated.
session.
I said
This
automated. I
is
didn't.
great. AI is fine. This is great. I mean, I'm glad that the conversation about tech stack doesn't start with AI and doesn't finish with AI. Okay. We
It's
talked about culture, we talked about people. AI is everywhere. AI helping to triage, I guess, right? The call center operations, AI is in every operation. And
yep.
AI right now is in every content creation effort, or you name it, right? Everywhere. Question to you as a practitioner, okay? Where did you find the most useful, productive, effective use of AI versus stay away, this is not the AI task, and it's not Gen AI task either?
Yeah. So I'm going to start with stay away. First, everybody, and don't be embarrassed if your company wasted $250,000 on building a chatbot that doesn't matter or you can't deploy because of legal risk. Because I don't know how many companies I've met that have that story in their closet. There's a lot of tech write-off this past year. But I would say like most chatbots are not worth deploying. Knowledge retrieval, support routing. These are cases where they're very discrete and you can deploy a chatbot with some high level of efficiency, and then have a human to escalate to. But like sales assistant chatbots, not time yet. Maybe never time. A lot of like the marketing content chatbots or like data analysis chatbots, have a chatbot be your financial analyst. That doesn't work. It's too complex. You know, a large language model can't even do math. You got to remember that. But where we do see a lot of wins are like text recognition in photos. So tons of clients have different sorts of receipts that come in or other contract paperwork, being able to pull information off of that and trigger other automations. Great use case for the AI. And it's much cheaper to do than it has been in the past. Routing. So, an email has come into this inbox. What is this email about? Is it about an account problem or is it about a technology error? So it has to route to the development team. Very simple case of AI that you can deploy. And that's that fuzzy logic I was talking about earlier. Personalizing outbound emails or customizing for local SEO, just making a few tweaks to words and doing a little spin tax. Great use case for AI. It's not doing any creative writing. It's just modifying or regurgitating what you're giving it. Coaching, believe it or not, fantastic use case. Internal knowledge base retrieval, great use case. One of my favorites that we did recently, like project packet handoffs. So the AI would take all of the details from the customer CRM associated with a deal when it got marked as closed won, And then it would automatically generate a handoff packet for the onboarding team based on all the transcripts in the past discussions. So summarization, excellent, because it can then link back to all the original documents and you have full access in Vision.
Fantastic, fantastic. We touched a little bit on marketing, right? But looks like marketing automation is a low-hanging fruit. Every company, big and small, now using bunch of tools out there. What's your favorite? I mean, what's you think, gets the most result for the value, for the price?
ChatGPT, Teams, or Claude 3 Pro. I found most of like the actual AI like content tools are not worth it. It is much better to build your own prompts, build like a multi-step sort of system using a tool like Make, and then you can walk it through like a 10-step thought process to create your content. And that's where we see, like, I've got a client that writes e-commerce emails and they use AI to generate their first draft, and then a human cleans it up and finishes it. And the AI, it's like 20 steps long because it takes all sorts of different campaign brief information and it sticks it in and it uses that to generate. And so it's not like hey, write me a good marketing email. That's not what it
No,
is.
not that simple. But again, this is great. This is great insight. So it's not about the tool, it's about how you use the tool. So ChatGPT is your friend, right? So rather invest into that version, right? Instead of chasing each and every vendor, which in my experience pop up every day and they all look nice and pretty. But look beyond that's just my advice, look beyond the pretty interface, because in the end you're paying for your own knowledge, right? And what you're entering, is that what you're getting back? This is the experience.
Exactly. Like the best thing you can do if you want to do AI content, the best thing you can do is start a podcast and interview the people who talk about what you actually want to be doing content about, because that AI is going to need an endless stream of subject matter experts.
Guess what? This is what I've done with Saugatalks, and I immensely enjoy speaking with smart, capable people like yourself who
Likewise.
are generous, to show the expertise, to provide the advice. And again, I encourage everyone follow Michael Greenberg, because we are only as strong as the people we know. With all the technology knowledge, when we're alone, is not good. It's not good. And the community, and with the digital apps, and just with digital without presence, it's
Yep.
not for our vanity. It's rather to find like-minded people, to achieve goals with like-minded people. Michael, thank you so very much. Time is flying. At the end of this episode, could you maybe share a few takeaways? Okay, because we did talk about people and tech and stack and some of the tricks and tweaks, okay, that's
Yeah.
coming from your experience. So few takeaways, please, in the
I think
conclusion.
number one is data. Choose one place to put all your information related to anything, and then keep putting it there. Don't choose another place later. So single source of truth with that data is magical. Everything else you want to do afterwards becomes easier. Number two is remember that this is a multi-stage process. First, you need everything to be able to talk to each other in the cloud. That's level one. Then you can start automating things. That's level two. And then you can start building the AI on top of that solid data automation infrastructure. That's level three. And so don't try to jump through, because if your data is not in the right place and it's not all well organized and it can't talk to each other, you can't do the next thing. And then I think the final piece is remember the 5 C's. And I never brought these up during the rest of the conversation, but they describe the results of digital operations: clarity, confidence, consistency, capacity, and cash flow. And so when you look to implement a new CRM or new work management software or an automation tool or an AI tool, if it's not increasing your confidence in the ability to get the work done effectively and the ability for your team to grow, if it's not increasing the consistency and the quality of the work, if it's not giving you more clarity in your day-to-day data, then it's certainly not going to be adding to your team's capacity. And if it's not adding to your team's capacity, then it's not going to increase the company's cash flow. And that's what all of this is really about.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael, so very much for your time. Thanks.
Thank you.